Lupita Mañana, Chapter 6. Numbly, the Torres children went back to the park where they finished the night in exhausted slumber. The next morning, Lupita gave Salvador their remaining pesos. "It costs much to stay here," he said. "Even in the park we must buy food. Our money will soon be gone." "See," Lupita answered with a sigh. "Salvador, I have been thinking. I have seen children beg here. I will ask the gringas, the women tourists, to give me money." "No!" The word came like a clap of thunder. "All right, I will not ask them." But Lupita was rebellious and decided to go ahead anyway. What else could they do? If she got money from the tourists, she would claim that she had found it in the park or on the sidewalks. That very same day, following Salvador about Tijuana, Lupita approached a middle-aged gringa and held out her hand. As the woman passed her, she dropped a silver-colored coin into Lupita's palm. Lupita stared at her hand. Money! In her horror, Salvador turned around just at that moment. He realized in an instant what she had done. Grabbing her by the arm, he dragged her back to the park and cuffed her. Then he pried open her fist, got hold of the coin, and threw it into the bushes. Without a word, he stalked off. Lupita crawled through the shrubbery until she found the money. Then she sat down on a bench to await Salvador's return. She tried not to weep and betray the fact that she was a girl. Salvador did not come back till dusk. He sat down beside her and said grimly, "It may take some time for me to find a new way to get over there, so I am going to find work here in Tijuana if I can." Lupita's eyes went to the idle men sitting all about them. She knew that they too were looking for work. Each morning they went out, but each dusk they were back in the park complaining of no work to be found and talking feverishly of ways to get into the United States. "Perhaps I could get some shoe polish, a rag and a brush, and then I could shine the shoes of gringos," Lupita said. "No, I have seen many boys do that here. Most do not find customers. You would not make enough money to earn back the cost of the polish and the brush. No, I'll look for work and you stay here in the park." "Let me go with you, Salvador." Salvador gave her a sour look. "I do not want you with me. I can walk farther and faster than you. You stay here in the park. Speak to no one and wait for me. Always be here when I return." Lupita's thoughts went to Dorotea's knife, and she shivered. "Salvador, do not get into any trouble here." "Don't worry," he mumbled. "I'll always come back to you. Now, let's eat something. I'm hungry." "Si, Salvador." A week went by, and in that time, Salvador found only a few hours' work, guarding an automobile while its owner ate in a cafe. Obedient to his wishes, Lupita kept to the park. As she sat on the bench she had claimed by now as theirs, she spoke to no one. Her thoughts were of Mamá and Aunt Consuelo. Ay de mí. By this time, both of them must think she and Salvador were over the border and in the United States. Aunt Consuelo would be looking for them in Indio, wondering what had delayed them. Mamá would be surprised that she had not received any money from them. She would be wondering where they were, how they were faring, what kinds of work they had found. And here she sat, day after day on a Tijuana park bench, waiting for Salvador to come and share another poor meal with her. Each time he returned with more crackers and beans, he told her how little money there was left. How hard life was here in Tijuana. The eyes of some of the men in the park followed Lupita's hand each time it carried food to her mouth. Ay de mí. Before long, she and Salvador would sit here like the hungry men and watch others eat. Every evening, Lupita scanned Salvador's face for good news. His expression began to change. His young face took on the sad look of the older men around him. He was growing thinner, too, and Papa's coat hung more loosely on him. To save money, both of them were eating less. Some day soon, they would not eat at all. On that dreaded day, Lupita told herself she would go out of the park and beg. Let Salvador hit her if he wanted to. This time, she would position herself beside a cafe on the Avenida Revolucion and hold out her hand for money. In the meantime, she prayed that day would never come. On a chill, rainy morning, after their breakfast of crackers and water, Lupita asked, "Where do you go now, Salvador? Where will you look for work today? Will you watch gringo cars again?" She tried to hold him a moment longer. The day in the park was so long and lonely for her. I am going to the market first. Yesterday I heard a man say that overripe fruits and vegetables are given away in the market here. Perhaps I can get something for us. Food? Given away? No, she didn't want to wait. May I come to the market with you? Salvador hunched his shoulders. I don't care. Come if you want to. Maybe you'll get more because you're so skinny. The two of them walked side by side through the noisy town to the open-air market. There, vendors sold cheeses and tortillas and cooked pork. At first, the smell of the meat made Lupita's mouth water. Then, it made her feel sick to her stomach. No one offered them any cheese or roast pork, but they soon found that the rumor Salvador had heard was correct. An old woman selling vegetables gazed at them as they stood before her stall, and she handed each of them 2 bruised tomatoes. How wonderful those tomatoes tasted after days of crackers and refried beans. Gracias, gracias, Lupita told the woman, before Salvador took her by the elbow to haul her through the rest of the market. There was no more food to be had, but just as they were about to turn around and retrace their steps, someone shouted, Hola, Salvador Torres! Hola, Salvador! Who could it be? Bewildered, Salvador stopped, whirled around, and stood waiting as a gangling youth came shouldering his way through the market crowd toward them. Bartolo! Hola, Bartolo! Salvador smiled for the first time in days. Lupita, it is Bartolo from Ensenada. I heard he came here to Tijuana. I went to school with him. Someone from Ensenada that she did not know? How would Salvador explain who she was? Would he tell Bartolo she was a boy? The 2 youths embraced. Then Salvador pointed to her and said, You don't know him, but this is my brother, Eduardo. Bartolo, who had a thin mustache, laughed. Skinny, isn't he? What brings the 2 of you here to Tijuana? This is no place for fishermen. He cocked his head. You want to get over there, eh? Si, replied Salvador. Bartolo said nothing more about the United States. Instead, he asked, What is the news from Ensenada? I've been gone for 2 years now, working up here for my grandfather. Salvador turned to Lupita. Go back to the park. I'll tell Bartolo why we are here. See, Salvador. They were going to talk the talk of young men, and even in the role of Eduardo, there was no place for her. Glad to be free, Lupita left the market. Let Salvador be the one to tell their unhappy story to Bartolo. If Bartolo had a job, he might find work for Salvador in the market, or at least give him some food. As she walked through the rain, Lupita felt her hopes rising. It was full dark by the time Salvador came back to the park. Lupita had already lain down on the bench, which was damp from the day's rain. She shivered as she held her brother's jacket close about her. Salvador bent down and whispered, The sky is clearing, Lupita. When the moon rises, we will leave here. She sat up. Have you found work? Have you found a place for us to live? Did Bartolo do this for you? No, we are going to go over there tonight. Over there? Lupita gasped. Salvador, is it a safe way? Her heart started to beat more swiftly. I hope it will be. Ah, that Bartolo. Salvador laughed sharply as he sat down beside her. That Bartolo is a queer one. He hasn't changed at all. When we leave, you must do everything I tell you to do, and you must do it quickly. See, I will, I promise, Lupita whispered. She clutched her silver cross. Is Bartolo a coyote? No, but he wants something. Everyone here wants something. But our money is almost gone. See, except for a few centavos it is. Now be quiet. Try to sleep if you can. Sleep? How could she sleep? They were going over there again in a few hours, and Salvador thought she should sleep. What would this attempt be like? Would it be as dangerous as the last one? What would Bartolo ask of them? When the half-moon rose over the tops of the trees, Salvador touched Lupita's arm and said, Come, we must go now. Lupita uncurled her legs and sat up. Where are we going? To the market, he whispered. At night? There will be no one there, Salvador. Bartolo will be there. Come on. See, I come. Lupita got up and followed her brother out of the park. Looking back to their bench, she saw that it had a new tenant, a man who had lain on the sodden grass. The part of the market where the vendors' stalls were so busy by day was dark and empty at night, but another part was filled with trucks coming and going and workers shouting at one another. Salvador threaded his way among the trucks with Lupita following him until they found Bartolo smoking at the rear of a large green truck with board sides. This time he didn't hail Salvador, but only raised his hand in greeting. Come, Salvador ordered Lupita. The three of them went behind the truck where Bartolo spoke swiftly. Everything is ready. The truck is loaded. Give me what you promised now. See. Salvador reached behind his belt, took out Dorotea's knife, and gave it to Bartolo. Then he looked down at Lupita and said in a harsh voice, Give him your cross. Hurry. Papa's cross! So this was Bartolo's price. Their dearest things they had never once considered selling to buy food. Lupita swallowed hard as her fingers closed protectively around the cross. But Salvador had given up his knife. She must give up Papa's cross also. Quickly, she lifted the silver chain over her head, kissed the cross, and put it in Bartolo's open hand. An instant later, Salvador and Bartolo lifted her into the truck. It was filled with big crates constructed out of slats. She could see they were filled with vegetables. The boys clambered onto the trunk. Pronto, quickly! Bartolo got hold of the top of a half-filled crate and lifted up the top. Inside were small, green, round things. Brussels sprouts. He scooped out a hollow place, then said to Lupita, Get in there and lie down on your stomach. Turn your head to the side so you can breathe. Lupita took one look at Salvador's face and decided not to protest. She stretched out on the queer-smelling vegetables, and Bartolo and Salvador covered her with them. Then Bartolo put the crate's top back on. Looking through the slats, Lupita saw Salvador lie down in the crate next to her, the one nearest the tailgate of the truck. Though she didn't know the names of the vegetables she lay among, she recognized his as onions. She watched Bartolo put the lid down on Salvador's crate and heard him whisper, Good luck. Be quiet. Bartolo reached up and put a canvas curtain across the cargo, leaving Lupita and Salvador in darkness. She heard him jump off the truck and secure the tailgate. Panic swept over her, and tears came to her eyes. In a very small voice, she called to Salvador, I'm afraid. How do we get out of these crates? The tops are not nailed down. Be quiet. Don't speak again till I call you. Pray if you want to. Lupita prayed. She prayed to every saint she knew while she listened to men speaking in English and Spanish. Then the door slammed shut and the truck started with a lurch. Crates began to slide over the wooden floor. They rode for a while and then stopped for a few minutes. Lupita prayed, counting the numbers of Hail Marys, she said. Lying among the Brussels sprouts, she listened to men talk about tomatoes, onions, and peppers. Then the truck started up once more. This time it drove on smoothly at high speed. Such speed frightened her. Automobiles. How she disliked them by now. She had never thought she would have so much to do with automobiles. Lupita had no idea how far the produce truck had traveled when it came to a stop again. The driver's door opened, and a man spoke to someone in English. Lupita, Lupita, came Salvador's soft cry. Push up the top of your crate. Get out. Hurry. Humping her back, Lupita shoved the top of her crate up, high enough so she could roll over and climb out. Vegetables scattered all over the truck bed. Salvador was out of his crate too, standing among rolling onions. He peered out along the side of the canvas curtain, pulled it back, and then vaulted over the tailgate. Hurry! Come on! He called, holding up his hands. Lupita threw a leg over the tailgate and slid down into his arms, clutching the cloth sack to her chest. There were still some broken crackers inside.